Hey there YouTube, this is Punkrock Matt with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the 1/12 scale PAF Fighting JC from the Adventure Kartel line made by ThreeA and Ashley Wood. PAF stands for pale as fuck because he's pale. There's another figure in this same series, he's got darker colors. So that's the whole deal with that. He's also got the shit got real head sculpt, which I think is a really funny name. None of the figures in this scale have the other head sculpt, but in the 12-inch ones, there's two different ones, and this is the shit got real version, which is the cooler of the two. I got this guy recently on eBay for $45, and even though he was actually my first 3A figure, I'm reviewing him last because I'm saving the best for last. Well, let's see how tall he is, shall we? Just under 6 inches. Here he is next to Mafex Batman. Here he is next to the Figuarts Vegito. And finally, here he is next to Marvel Legends Daredevil. We'll get into his articulation now, but first, just a quick thing about this stand. This didn't come with them. This is a Tamashii Stage Act 4 from Bandai. I bought these for all my 3A figures because they don't stand on their own that well. Especially the guys with boots. Him and Golden Dolphin really just tend to tilt backward. Anyway, he's got a ball joint neck. And if you can see there, that peg is a little on the thin side for my taste. So I don't move his head a shitload, but I move it some. It hasn't broken yet. It has a little bit of a wobble, but that's kind of nitpicky on my part. It's not a big deal. In his shoulder, it has a hinge where it'll move back and forward, and that works well. It'll also move up and down. And then he has a hinge joint at the shoulder, bicep cut. There's a double joint in the elbow, but these wrappings do kind of get in the way. I don't know if that's just mine or if that's everyone's. Maybe if you're watching this review and you have this figure, you can tell me if there's a way to loosen this up some. But it's not a massive thing, although it does restrict it more on this side. This is about as much movement as I can get, and for a double joint at the elbow, that's pretty weak. He does have wrist movement, but again, it is hindered a bit by the wrappings around the wrist. You get some movement out of there, though. He has a fantastic double ab crunch. Can move way forward or way back. He has socket and hinge joint hips. The cloth pants hinder movement a little bit, but not like crazy. I mean, you can still definitely move his legs around quite a bit. There is a thigh cut, double jointed knee, really good motion out of that double jointed knee. There is ankle articulation, but except for side-to-side movement, it's totally hindered by these boots. However, it's a fine trade-off to me because I think these boots look really awesome. Great paint detail and sculpt on those. Even the treads are done. He doesn't have any accessories, so no need to go over that part. But he doesn't really need them because he's just a really cool-looking figure, and from what I can tell, his mitts are all he needs. So, doesn't need to have a gun or a knife or anything like that. So, despite having a couple of issues as far as the articulation can be hindered a bit by the clothing, he can't stand on his own, these things are far outweighed by the fact that he's just a really, really cool-looking figure. He's a Jesus figure, for Christ's sake. There's a few Jesus figures floating around out there, but not a single one of them are this cool. And he's just super unique. I love his tattoos. I like his clothing a lot. The blood in his beard is really cool. The band-aids across his nose and bandana slash bandage around his head. Just really cool stuff. He's got a tattoo of his mom there on his back. Even the exposed screws, that's like pretty different for a figure nowadays. Doesn't bother me a bit. This belt, I should mention, is not attached to his pants. It can come off, and that clasp might even work, but I haven't tried it. Also, these pouches are done with Velcro, so they can open up, which is pretty neat. I don't think I'm going to put anything in there, but still, very cool. Definitely a very unique figure. And so, if you've been thinking about getting a 3A figure, and you haven't taken the plunge yet, maybe the 12-inch figures are too costly, or you don't collect figures that large. I typically don't. I usually go for 6-inch stuff. Think about these action portable figures. They're a lot more affordable, their size is easier to manage, and overall they're just really cool. There's a second series of action portable figures coming out at the end of the year. I've already got 3 of them pre-ordered, and so I'll have reviews of those going up as soon as I get them. And in conclusion, if you've been thinking about getting this guy, hopefully I've helped you make up your mind. I certainly don't regret getting him at all. Very, very happy with him. So, thanks for watching, YouTube. Take it easy.